We start with the hero of the set, friend from another world, Kaguya. Kaguya started shifting attribute back in Millennia of Ages. Originally a water ruler, she was printed as a light resonator in Millennia and is now a light wind ruler. Since then she's floated between all three attributes. Kaguya has a judgment cost of Light Moon 1, being one of two rulers in this set to focus around Moon. Moon is something of a pseudo-attribute. Nothing is Moon, it is not an attribute, but judgment, activated abilities, and awakening abilities can all cost Moon. It's like a more specific void. This set also includes two stones that can produce Moon. The one associated with Kaguya being Moon Breeze Memoria, a stone that can produce light or moon. Kaguya has two effects. One is a colour fix that can turn Moon into wind, essentially giving her additional sets of dual stones. Much like Sylvia, since there are stones in Alice Cluster that can produce all attributes, it's not as useful as it looks. It's good, but not amazing. In Grim Alice, even less so, since a 5-colour stone that can also produce Moon exists. Kaguya's second effect draws you a card when you play a card with Moon as its subtype. Sounds okay, till you look into what moons you actually have access to. She was designed with 2 cards, the first being Holy Moon of Pure Nights. This is an addition that gives a buff to resonators with Awakening and allows you to pay Moon and 2 to tap a J-Ruler. While you can pay that Moon via a Regalia, a card I'll talk about in much depth later, it doesn't make this card a must-play. The second card is Tsukuyomi Noble, a 500-700 resonator for 2 light with 2 effects. Firstly, players can't use the activated abilities of resonators unless they control a moon, something of extremely limited use. Most resonators have enter or death trigger abilities. The only ones with activated are associated with the other ruler in this set that uses moons. The second is an awakening effect, paid for with Moon, that destroys a non-moon addition and gives her 2 +100/+100 counters. Considering this cluster has Blessed Holy Wolf, if you really must destroy an addition, there are better choices. Branching out from her intended cards to everything she has access to, she starts shining a little brighter, especially in Grim Alice New Frontiers. I'm not going to cover all of them since it's 7 cards and I don't want to be here forever. But by going into Water and Fire, she can keep stones with activated abilities tapped down and destroy special stones. I don't think it's worth building around, but worth mentioning. Since I've mentioned Awakening twice now, I'll talk about her Regalia before I move on to her J-Ruler. Her Regalia is Interdimensional Vessel Apollo, a free Regalia banned from Wanderer. I'm not sure why it was banned from Wanderer, not big on the format, but it's worth mentioning. It gives your J-Ruler flying. I'd wager a guess that might be part of the reasoning for the ban, as nothing else really sticks out to me. It can also be tapped to produce Moon, but this Moon can only be used to pay for Awakening costs, or the Judgment and God's abilities of J-Rulers with Kaguya in their name. None of the Awakening cards that need Moon are terribly good, bar Seal of Wind and Light, a counterspell for Light Wind that can be made unchaseable if it's awakened for Moon. Finally, you can tap and banish Apollo to bounce one of your resonators. Great if you really don't want something to die. The Awakening cards aren't great, and you really only need 1 Apollo for flying. When she casts Judgment, Kaguya becomes Kaguya the Moonlit Saviour, the set's namesake, a 700-900 wizard. No keywords, but she retains her ability to turn Moon into wind, surprisingly. She gains 2 +100/+100 counters whenever you awaken a card. Likely just Seal in all honesty. Not going to come up much unless you build around it. Then she gets good. pay Moon to cancel automatic abilities. While Apollo doesn't help this, another regalia does. Illusionary Demonic Globe, the Earth. Normally I'd leave discussing this for when it comes up in relation to the ruler it's intended for, Gil Lapis, but it can be tapped to produce Moon for activated abilities. The globe is pretty much necessary for running Kaguya in my opinion. It makes cancelling automatic abilities less of a strain on your magic stones, and it stops a lot. Enter effects and death triggers are very common in this cluster, as are regular old triggered abilities. She can stop just about anything that would be too detrimental to her. Kaguya can pay light and 1 to prevent the next damage dealt to her. This is nifty for walling big resonators and stopping any burn damage that would kill her. Not a huge amount of applications, but useful. Finally, Kaguya's God's Art, Light of the Sacred Moon. For Light Moon and 3 Void, rest all of your opponent's J resonators, restore your stones, and your awakenings cost Moon less for the turn. It's a pretty cool effect that can be game-winning. Tap-down effects like this are. I'm not sure it'd be worth running Awakening cards for, but the only Kaguya deck to ever place in the top 8 did. I have multiple questions about that build and the circumstances of its 5th place in Madrid 2016. Normally I'd lean into the standard Dies to Black Moonbeam, but Kaguya is Wind, the one colour to preempt Black Moonbeam with Wind-Secluded Refuge. It counters Black Moonbeam without using the chase due to a technicality. Saying that, I think Kaguya is clearly on the casual side of things, one of 5th place or not. There are multiple cool things you can do with her. Light Wind Control, Moon Theme, Awakening Theme, but she just doesn't have it in her to be competitive. She doesn't do enough on the ruler side, and the themes themselves lean on the casual side. She doesn't have enough speed or force to really do much.